Electrolyte drinks are supposed to help you feel better, but for some people they do the opposite. You take a few big gulps, and suddenly it is stomach cramps, sloshing, nausea, or an urgent bathroom trip. That is not you being sensitive or doing hydration wrong. It is usually chemistry plus timing. The same ingredients that pull water into your body can also pull water into your gut. And the same acids and sweeteners that make a drink taste sportsy can irritate the stomach lining. So if electrolyte drinks upset your stomach, the fix is rarely to quit electrolytes. It is to match the formula to what your gut can handle and to how you are using it. Training versus illness. A short workout versus hours of sweating. Empty stomach versus with food. In this breakdown, you will learn the most common triggers, how to spot which one is hitting you, and what to try instead, including simple mixes that are often gentler, and a few mistakes that almost guarantee stomach trouble. Moving to slide 2. The first mechanism is concentration. Your gut is basically a filter that likes balance. If a drink is very concentrated with sugars, salts, or both, it can sit in the stomach longer and draw water into the intestines. That is called an osmotic effect. You do not need to memorize the term. Just remember the feeling. You drink, and instead of feeling hydrated, your stomach feels heavy. Then you get gurgling, bloating, or diarrhea. A lot of electrolyte products are not just electrolytes. They are electrolytes plus a big hit of carbs, or sugar alcohols, or multiple minerals stacked high. Great for some situations, rough for others. A practical rule: if you are doing a normal day or a short workout, you usually do not need a super strong mix. If you are doing long endurance work in heat, that is when higher concentration can make sense. But even then, it often works better in smaller sips. So the first question is not, are electrolytes bad? It is this mix too strong for my gut right now? Moving to slide 3. Let's talk sugar, because it is a common hidden driver. Glucose can actually help absorption when the concentration is right. That is why many oral rehydration solutions use a specific glucose to sodium balance. But many sports drinks overshoot. Too much sugar raises the drink's osmolality. Translation: it becomes thicker in terms of particle load. Your stomach can respond by slowing down. Your intestines can respond by pulling in extra water to dilute it. And there is another angle. Fructose, especially in large doses, is a frequent trigger for gas and diarrhea. Some people absorb it poorly. So a drink that uses fructose, or a blend heavy in fructose, can be a problem, even if the total calories do not look crazy. How do you test this without overthinking it? Try a lower sugar option first, or dilute your current drink by half. If symptoms improve quickly, sugar load was likely part of the issue. If you need carbs for performance, you can still get them. Just separate the problem, use a gentler electrolyte base, and add carbs in a form and dose your gut tolerates. Moving to slide 4. Next trigger: sugar alcohols and certain sweeteners. You will see names like sorbitol, xylitol, erythritol, maltitol. They are popular because they keep calories low and taste sweet. But many of them are poorly absorbed. That means they stay in the gut and pull water in. Same osmotic story, different ingredient. For some people, even small amounts cause bloating and diarrhea. Then there are high-intensity sweeteners, things like sucralose, acesulfame potassium, stevia blends. These do not pull water the same way, but they can still be irritating for some people, especially when combined with acids and carbonation. The tricky part is that labels can hide this. Zero sugar sounds gentle. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is a gut grenade. A practical move: if you keep getting symptoms from sugar-free electrolyte drinks, pick a product that is unsweetened or lightly sweetened with simple glucose and see what changes. Or use a plain electrolyte capsule with water. That removes the sweetener variable completely. You are not trying to be perfect. You are trying to identify your trigger. Moving to slide 5. Now minerals. Electrolytes are minerals, and minerals can be harsh in the wrong form or dose. Magnesium is the big one. Many magnesium forms have a known laxative effect at higher doses. That is why magnesium is sometimes used for constipation. So if your electrolyte drink has a meaningful amount of magnesium and you are sensitive, That alone can explain the bathroom urgency.
Potassium can also be irritating for some people, especially in larger doses, and especially on an empty stomach.
And sodium, while usually well tolerated, can cause nausea if the drink is too salty, too concentrated, or chugged quickly. The fix is not avoid minerals, it is to right-size them. For many people, a sodium-forward mix with modest potassium and little to no magnesium is gentler during exercise. Then magnesium can be taken separately with food, if you use it at all. Also pay attention to the form. Some mineral salts are simply rougher. If one brand upsets you, another with different mineral forms might be fine. Your gut is giving feedback. Listen to it like data, not like a personal failure. Moving to slide 6. Acidity is another overlooked reason electrolyte drinks feel rough. Many formulas use citric acid, malic acid, phosphoric acid, or similar acids for flavor and shelf stability. If you are drinking that on an empty stomach, or while your stomach is already stressed from hard exercise, that extra acid can be irritating. Some people will feel it as heartburn, others feel it as nausea, others just feel a sour churn. Carbonation makes this worse for a lot of people. Bubbles expand in the stomach. Add acid plus bubbles plus a concentrated mix, and you have a pretty reliable recipe for discomfort.
So one simple experiment is to switch to a non-carbonated, low-acid option,
or use plain water with a small amount of sodium and a squeeze of citrus, only if you tolerate it. Also, watch the habit of sipping something acidic constantly for hours. Even if each sip is small, it can keep your stomach in a more irritated state. If you are prone to reflux, this one matters a lot. Moving to slide 7. Let's zoom out to timing and behavior, because you can take a perfectly fine drink and still make it hurt. The most common mistake is chugging. A big bolus of fluid stretches the stomach. If that fluid is concentrated, acidic, or salty, the stomach reacts even more. Nausea and side stitches are common. Second mistake, taking electrolytes on a completely empty stomach when you are already stressed, caffeinated, or dehydrated. Your stomach is more reactive in that state. Third mistake, mixing multiple products. An electrolyte drink, plus an energy gel, plus a pre-workout, plus a flavored water enhancer. Each one might be tolerable alone. Together, the total concentration and ingredient stack can overwhelm your gut. A better pattern is boring but effective. Smaller sips, more dilution. And if you need a stronger mix, build up gradually so your gut adapts. If you only change one thing, change the dosing style. Your stomach often cares more about how fast you deliver the ingredients than the ingredients themselves. Moving to slide 8. Another big factor is what your body is doing during exercise. Hard training reduces blood flow to the gut. Your body prioritizes muscles and cooling. So even if an electrolyte drink is fine at rest, it can become a problem at high intensity. That is why people often say, "This drink is okay, unless I am doing intervals." It is not random. It is physiology. Heat makes it tougher. Dehydration makes it tougher. Anxiety can make it tougher. And if you are bouncing around, like running, your stomach has more mechanical stress too. So the strategy changes with intensity. At higher intensity, you usually want simpler, lower concentration, fewer ingredients, less acid, and more frequent small sips. If you need fuel, you might do better with a separate carbohydrate source you have practiced with, instead of relying on one super complex drink to do everything. And yes, gut training is real. Many endurance athletes gradually adapt to taking in carbs and electrolytes. But you have to start easy, not start with the strongest mix on the hardest day. Moving to slide 9. So what should you try instead? First, the simplest alternative is a lighter mix. Many people do better when they cut the concentration and keep sodium as the main electrolyte. A practical starting point for exercise is a drink that tastes only mildly salty, not like seawater and not like candy. If your current product is causing issues, mix it at half strength for a week and see what happens. That one change solves a surprising number of cases. Second, consider separating functions. Use plain water for most of your drinking. Then use electrolytes in small measured doses, like a capsule or a small amount of powder, rather than constantly sipping a strong solution. Third, If you are using electrolytes for non-exercise reasons, like after sweating in heat or during mild stomach upset, an oral rehydration style approach is often gentler. Those formulas are designed around absorption, not flavor intensity. And if you want a very simple home option, many people tolerate water plus a small pinch of salt, plus a small amount of sugar if needed, far better than a complex flavored product. Keep it mild. Moving to slide 10. Let's get specific about what to look for on labels, without turning this into a chemistry class. If you get diarrhea, look first for sugar alcohols and high magnesium. Those are common culprits. If you get nausea and sloshing, look for high total carbs, very high sodium concentration, and lots of acids. Then look at the ingredient list length. More ingredients is not automatically worse, but it increases the number of variables. If you are troubleshooting, fewer variables wins. Also watch for megadose marketing. Some products pack huge amounts of multiple electrolytes. That can make sense for certain people in extreme sweat conditions. For many people, it is just unnecessary stress on the gut. A useful approach is to run a simple A versus B test for a week. Product A is your current drink. Product B is a simpler, lower concentration option. Keep everything else the same. Same workout, same meal timing, same sip pattern. If B feels better, you have your answer. Then you can decide if you want to stay simple or carefully add back carbs or flavor without re-triggering symptoms. Moving to slide 11. Now, a few instead options matched to common situations. If your main goal is preventing headaches and fatigue from sweating, a sodium-focused electrolyte in plenty of water is usually the first thing to try. Keep potassium moderate. Keep magnesium low. If your main goal is endurance performance, you often need both electrolytes and carbs. But you can still keep the drink gut-friendly by using a moderate carb concentration and sipping steadily. If you are sensitive to fructose, choose carb sources that are mostly glucose-based. If your main goal is recovery after a stomach bug or mild diarrhea, oral rehydration solutions are often better than sports drinks. They are designed around absorption and fluid balance. Sports drinks are designed around taste and energy. If you are just trying to drink more water during the day, you might not need electrolytes at all. A pinch of salt in a large bottle can be enough for some people, especially if they eat normal meals. And if you crave flavor, consider using a very small amount of flavoring separately from the electrolyte dose. Sometimes it is the flavor system, not the minerals, that is causing the trouble. Moving to slide 12. Let's cover a few red flags and edge cases, because not all stomach upset is just the drink. If electrolyte drinks consistently cause severe symptoms, or symptoms that are getting worse, it is worth taking that seriously. Persistent vomiting, blood, black stools, severe abdominal pain, or signs of significant dehydration are not a DIY situation. Also, if you have known reflux, gastritis, irritable bowel patterns, or you are recovering from a gut infection, your tolerance can be temporarily lower. In those windows, even a normally fine drink can feel awful. Another sneaky factor is total fluid temperature. Very cold drinks can trigger cramping for some people during exercise. It is not universal, but it is common enough to test. And if you are using electrolyte drinks along with a lot of caffeine, that combination can increase GI urgency for some people. Not because caffeine is bad, but because it changes gut motility. The point is not to get anxious about hydration. It is to troubleshoot logically, change one variable at a time, and if symptoms are intense or persistent, get professional guidance. Moving to slide 13. Let's turn all of this into a simple troubleshooting flow you can actually use. Step 1. Change the dose. Dilute your current drink to half strength and sip it slowly. If that fixes it, the issue was likely concentration or chugging. Step 2. If it still upsets your stomach, remove sweeteners. Try an unsweetened electrolyte or a capsule with plain water. If that fixes it, sweeteners were the likely trigger. Step 3. If symptoms are still there, simplify minerals. Choose a sodium-forward product with modest potassium and little to no magnesium. If that fixes it, magnesium dose or mineral form was likely the issue. Step 4. Reduce acidity and remove carbonation. If you were using fizzy tablets or very sour mixes, Switch to still low-acid options. And step 5. Match the drink to the situation. Short, easy workout, you may only need water. Long, hot session, you may need more sodium, but delivered slowly. If you do those steps in order, you usually find the culprit without guessing. Moving to slide 14. One last piece. If you only remember one principle, make it this. Electrolytes are not a single thing. They are a category, and your stomach responds to the total package. Concentration, sweeteners, acids, mineral forms, temperature, and how fast you drink. So the goal is not to find the best electrolyte drink. It is to find the one that fits your body and your use case. For many people, that ends up being surprisingly simple. Plenty of water, a modest amount of sodium, minimal extras, and steady sipping. If you want to keep experimenting, do it like an athlete, not like a gambler. One change at a time. Keep notes for a week. Pay attention to patterns like empty stomach versus with food, and easy effort versus hard effort. Now I want to hear your experience. Do electrolyte drinks bother you more with sugar or more with sugar-free sweeteners? Comment A for sugar or B for sugar-free. And if you want more practical breakdowns like this, subscribe. This information is not a substitute for medical advice. High energy is a biological state, not motivation.